One of the greatest acts of love that you can do for any of your loved ones isn't what you buy them, but it's actually a conversation. And unfortunately, not enough families are having these conversations or these types of conversations until that loved one or even themselves are sitting in an emergency room. Welcome to the conversation. My name is Megan J. Baker. I am a master wealth strategist and financial intuitive, and I help you align your money with the life you want to live through wealth strategies, mindset, and intentional planning. And today I want to share something that's very personal to me, and that is caregiving and how can you financially prepare for caregiving? What I realized, being a wealth strategist over the years, one of the many things that I find, and it's in my top five, is that a number of families are not financially prepared to take care of that loved one or even themselves if something were to occur and they could not work anymore. Now, caregiving is more and more and more um, wide of a spectrum with families. And I find that one of the main reasons why families struggle is because nobody ever created a strategy or a plan for what if my mom gets sick and she can't recover, right? And one of us needs to take care of her because we can't afford a nurse, or what if dad gets sick, things of that nature. And one of the things that I can say is I am the youngest of 13 kids. It's a blended family, right? And when my mother was in her 50s, she had a stroke due to a brain surgery that she had to have, and she had the stroke 2 days after the surgery. What happened, the results of the stroke was that she was paralyzed on the right side of her body. Her cognitive senses, understanding ABCs 1 2 3, was impaired completely. And one of the things that we as a family did not prepare for was that, right? So imagine being a teenager and your hero, the person and your provider, the person who's the main provider of your household, is now incapacitated in a way that they cannot take care of themselves, meaning she couldn't go back to work, right? She had to retire early. There were so many things, right? And over the years, one of the things that our family had to learn very quickly was that when you have a person like in those types of capacities, my sister had to become the manager of her bank account and pay her bills, help her pay her bills as checks were coming in. My sister eventually got power of attorney, and when I got licensed, immediately we got a trust for my mom with medical directives and things of that nature. Also having two sisters that have mental illness, and because when I got licensed in financial services, that included life insurance. So I was able to get my two sisters who are with traditional life insurance aren't insurable, right? So knowing that we could get them guaranteed issue whole life policies that would insure them, we don't have to worry about the burial process, right? And what I realized is as a family, we did not have someone to tell us what to do. We didn't have a rule of thumb. There was no there was a lot of Googling, there was a lot of asking, and thankfully we came together as a family to say, okay, what is the plan? And because let me tell you something, being Mary's daughter and her son, if you are Mary's child, you know how to put together a plan. You might not like it, but she taught us to be very self-reliant, very self-sufficient. So why am I sharing this with you is because through personal experience, I know what it's like when you're fumbling through it, right? My mother is 89 years old right now. She'll be 90 in a couple of months. And with that, one of my sisters retired from her job early to be at home and take care of my mom. Now, my mom's not an invalid, but she's 90 years old. She needs help. One of the things that we discover as a family are that it is pertinent and it is important to have a plan and know what is happening and what's going on. And lately, I have been talking to a lot of people in their late 40s, in their 50s, even in their 60s, who are now taking care of their parents, but they are struggling financially because that wasn't a part of their plan, right? They did not plan for it financially. And they are just a small percentage of a larger pool of people in America, within our society, period, who are not prepared for what if something happens to my loved one, whether that's your husband, your wife, your great aunt, your auntie, your uncle, your dad, your mom, even your child. What do you have in place to secure your family? So I want to share with you all 5 key found financial conversations. We're just going to start with what are the type of conversations that you need to be having with your family? What are the things? And here, and let me bring this up too. A lot of us feel like, or have been programmed, that when you're talking about death, that you could possibly literally be prophesying death, or that you're prophesying something bad is going to happen. I cannot tell you how many people, when you start talking about, well, do you have this in order? Do you have that in order? That they shy away from those conversations because in their mind, if I talk about it, then that means I'm bringing it to life. But what I try to stress to my clients is, if you're not having the conversation and you're avoiding it, you're putting your family at risk. Not avoiding the conversation is not love. Avoiding the conversation is even more selfish than anything else. And this is not me judging you. This is coming from someone who has seen families be torn apart, and you don't have the room to mourn because you're scrambling for the funds to bury your loved one, or to find out where the bank accounts, what's this, what's that, right? So what I'm hoping is that in this conversation that we're going to have today, that we're having today, that this can be the beginning of easing some anxiety around it. Because you know just recently, one of my siblings had a scare. And as a family, once they finally said, hey, I want to talk to y'all about it. And once we had the conversation, we all jumped on the Zoom. And no judgment. Yeah, did we fuss? Did we say, why didn't you? What are you doing? Of course, because we were scared. But did we cry? Yes. But also, we came together and we said, okay, let's put the plan together. We're here to support. And although it was a scary situation, where who wants to think about a loved one, dying or leaving them or being sick, or being uncomfortable. But one of the things that I'm realizing is the discomfort, the fear. It's just our nervous systems trying to protect us from the unpleasant things. But what I'm realizing is sometimes we have to deal with the unpleasant to get to the side of the light, to get to the other side of the light. There is no light cannot shine. You can't see that a light is shining brighter if it's light and light, right? You can only see a bright light in the darkness. And so darkness does have its role in our greater purpose in life. And so I just want to encourage you in that. So Let's get to the 5 financial conversations you should be having. Okay, when we talk about caregiving and creating what I call a care plan, because just like when you establish an estate plan, you should always also be establishing a care plan. Some people may call that medical directives, but I say a medical directive is a part of the care plan, actually. So, number one, have the conversation. Have the conversation, because when I tell you, having the conversation may feel uncomfortable, like I stated before, but I guarantee you it will make everyone, and it may make some people feel uneasy, but I promise you it's worth it. Okay. Number two, organize the finances. Okay. Let's use, for example, we're talking about your parents, right? Do you know where mom and dad's bank accounts are? Do you know how many banks they bank with? Do you know if they have savings and what's in those savings accounts? Do you know, do they have 401ks? Do they have this? I sit down with so many people who have elderly parents that they are responsible for, and they are scrambling. Number three, gather all the documents. Okay, gather the documents. Where is the do they have a will? Do they have a trust? Is there a power of attorney? What are the medical directives? What are the life insurance plans? What does all of that look like? Do not assume. And number four, create the care plan. And what does that look like? What does that look like exactly? Okay. It looks like sitting down once you have all these documents, once you know where the finances are. And this is also what they call creating a family government. Essentially, the foundation of that. And one day we'll talk about what that is, and I'll actually bring an expert on to talk about that. But when we talk about a family care plan, that looks like, okay, if something happens to me and I'm incapacitated, this person is the one who's going to be in charge of the finances and make sure bills are paid, etc. Who are the beneficiaries on the policies, and what is that person's responsibility? Okay, if we have a trust, who's going to be the executor of the estate? Who's going to manage the trust? Use parents, for example. Is dad going into a home, or is one of us going to get off of our job and actually take care of them? Well, if it's okay, they're going into a home, do the finances line up, right? To where they can afford to do that. Then let's meet up with some professionals to create that, right? Then, okay, but if I'm going to have to come off my job, okay, so now as a family, let's see how much that's going to cost, and what are the programs that support caregiving in homes, and all of these things. So the care plan is a part of your estate plan. It's a part of your retirement planning, where if you're the parent and you have children, then you should be creating that, because do you want your children to be financially burdened because you never prepared or had the money for a what if? And if what I'm saying is triggering you, if it's making you uncomfortable, then I am doing my job, because that's what I am coming on here to do, is to disturb your sense of safety, because I feel like we have gotten too comfortable. Fifth thing is fund the plan. Okay? Fund the plan. So, and knowing how to fund the plan, understanding what financial vehicles to utilize. We're going to talk about that in a part two. Okay. And then, and but to fund the plan, you will have to meet with some professionals. You're going to estate planning attorneys. And that's essentially, as a wealth strategist, that's what I do for a number of my clients, is we sit down and we say, what do you want for your life? What does success look like for you? What does retirement look like for you? What does wealth and rich look like for you? Because wealth and rich does not look the same for everybody. But as a wealth strategist, having, someone to connect you to the estate planner, the CPA for the tax strategies to make sure that everything is good, that sort of thing, connecting you with the people that can help you be ready and prepared for this plan. And if you haven't started any of this, don't allow shame to creep in, because this is a conversation that everybody needs to have. And this is something that we all need to do, because the love is in the details of what you do. It's not just in the buying of the gifts, right? I want to leave you all with this. Preparation isn't for planning someone's death. It's planning to take care of the people you love, and it's creating a strategy on how you're going to do that. My question to you is, have you had these conversations with your family? If not, let this be a sign to begin that conversation. And if you like help creating that financial care plan, schedule a complimentary wealth strategy session with me using the link that is in the description. Okay, so you guys like and share this post, share it with as many people as you like, and I'm going to be doing a part 2 to this, where we do a deeper dive on what are some financial vehicle options that you can utilize in preparation for the care plan. All right. So I'll talk to you soon in the next conversation. Have a good one.